Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Primetime. I'm your host, Trent Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Kerri. How's it going, guys?
Going great, thanks.
Going great.
How are you?
Yeah.
I am doing fantastic because tonight we are talking about X, getting ready for Ty West's Maxxxine, which is coming out next month, I believe. So that's super exciting, guys. Welcome back from vacation. How was your trip?
It was amazing.
Very, very
Thank
fun.
you.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to do something kind of different. I'm going to play the trailer for X. We're going to talk about it and then get into the movie. So if you guys are ready, let's show the trailer for X right now.
Farmer's daughter, take one. I need to be famous, Wayne. All the best people are.
Ain't nobody else out there like you.
You know why?
Why?
'Cause you got that X Factor. Our days of struggling may soon be over.
Hollywood, here we go.
So this is it. Our own studio backlot.
You looking for a place to stay? Oh, yes, sir.
That's one ugly son bitch.
And my wife, Pearl, is next door, so I would appreciate a little discretion.
He don't know what we're doing, does he?
Well, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Would you like to come inside?
Much obliged.
I want to be in the movie.
Well, you can't. The story can't just change midway through.
If Daddy catches us, there's no telling what he might do.
My wife is not well. It happens after dark.
Maxxxine? You don't want to leave, do you?
People's eyes are gonna pop out of their damn skulls when they see this.
What? Are you all right?
No.
One of the boys found this inside.
What do you think is on it?
I see one goddamn fucked up horror picture.
That is a really, really great trailer. I do feel like they showed a little too much in the trailer.
I agree.
I think maybe that is the thought because we've all seen it. I think if you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
I think maybe it's a really good like tease for the movie. But
Yeah. I think having seen the movie and then seeing the trailer, you realize, oh, they actually did show a lot of the movie in this trailer without subconsciously realizing it.
Yeah. Including the very last scene of the film.
But without a context, I don't think
guess, yeah.
you can really piece everything
Yeah.
together. So I don't think it's like an issue.
I don't remember seeing. I feel like I saw trailers for this movie and didn't feel like they spoiled a lot at the time, but I don't quite remember.
I like
Yeah,
I like how they like transition like the shot like where it was going below the bed
Yeah,
and then it turned
That's
into
so
black
cool.
X. I
yeah,
thought
that was
really
a good.
cool.
All right, so we do have some show notes to go through. X was directed by Ty West, who brought you House of the Devil and The Innkeepers. I just watched House of the Devil. Fucking amazing movie. It's on Shudder right now. It is awesome. I got to watch The Innkeepers, though. It stars Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, Brittany Snow, Scott McCurdy, and Martin Henderson. It's categorized as a contemporary take on the psycho biddy subgenre, which features a mixture of horror, thriller, and a strong female character element, primarily involving aging women who have grown mentally unbalanced and violent. The score was composed by Tyler Bates and Christina Wolf, who collaborated to create a soundtrack that emphasizes on vocals and synthesizers. A bunch of filmmakers who venture to Royal Texas to make an adult film, but get more than they bargained for when their hosts catch them in the act. Then they must fight for their lives. So, let's get into our non-spoiler thoughts on X, because I know kind of divisive, I would say. Not as divisive as some horror films, but among us, it is divisive. So why don't you guys start with your non-spoiler thoughts before we get into more of the spoiler filled discussions?
I'll go last.
Okay.
I'll let you guys go.
All right. Well, I'll go first then.
All right.
I love this movie. I think it is so fun. It is like very reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like even kind of like the setup to the movie. Like I noticed like how it starts with like the television, you hear the television over everything, kind of similar to it starts with the kind of the aftermath of the massacre, which is a little similar, I think, to Texas Chainsaw, if I'm remembering correctly. Or maybe not the original, but it kind of starts with like a true story, and like hearing the television in the background in Texas Chainsaw, it's kind of the radio, but just the filter or whatever that Ty West uses in this movie has a very 70s feel. Some of the way it's filmed has a very 70s feel. And yeah, it's just a good slasher movie. For me, like the acting is amazing. And the ending just really pulls everything together for me. And what I was kind of going through the movie thinking like, was this as good as I used to think it was? And then by the end, I'm like, yeah, I love this movie. I love how I think it's just such a solid entry. Like the kills are fantastic. They're very gory, but they're not so gory they're like unwatchable or anything. And all the twists and turns this movie takes, it just really keeps you engaged.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really love this movie. A lot of things that Kerri says I'm going to agree with. I think the style of the movie is its biggest pro. To me, you have that feeling of, okay, this is almost like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie in a way, where like the way it's shot, the way it's kind of grungy in a way that you wouldn't see in modern horror films. Like some horror films are really like, pristine, and they got really good like production value. This feels like they made it on a small budget. Like it was, it really has that kind of that gritty feel to it. I love the actors. I love the characters. I love the kills. I think some of the kills are fantastic. And I also love the theme, like the underlying themes of this movie about aging, about, you're too old to do that you love, like all of these things that we'll get into in the spoiler talk, but I really, really love this movie. Chad?
Yeah, so on rewatch, I liked it more. I was wondering if I was going to, because we'll get there, but I did actually like Pearl, so I was wondering if I went back if I would like X more, and I think I do. I like a lot of the style, is what you guys were saying. I like the music. I like some of the themes and everything. I think the first can you make sure.
Thank you.
I think thank you. I think some of the the character decisions are what made me not like the movie in the first place. But I think watching it now, I kind of have like understand it. I think like I still think the same way I did, but it's not as much of a detractor of the movie as it was. And before, I also thought like the movie was just way too simple, but now I can see like more of the things that I like about it. And I do think that the style and how it's shot and everything is the strongest part. And I do like how fun it is a lot of the times, and actually kind of funny. There's like a lot of different parts that I actually found more funny this time than the last time. And I can't get into like some of the funny stuff, and like I said, until we get into spoiler talk. But yeah, and it's just interesting to think about like Ty West as a director. I think I was in love with Ty West, the big like slow burn guy, and then I'm like, Ty West, you're making a different kind of movie now, and I like when you do the slow burn stuff. So then when he wasn't doing that, it
felt off.
It felt off. That's a great way to put it. But I think Ty West can do different things. He doesn't have to always do the same thing. I'd love to one day do a Ty West ranking.
That'd be awesome.
And actually just like watch through everything, because we have seen the House of the Devil and the Innkeepers, and they're both very slow burn. Like not a lot happens until like a certain part of each movie, really. And I like that a lot of the times, depending on if it's engaging, and not too slow or whatever. But X isn't slow at all. X, it's just a good slasher. I don't know if I can say that I love it, like like one of my top horror films or anything like that, but I do think it's very well made, and I very much enjoyed it the second time.
Wow, that's interesting, because Chad, if you guys didn't know, Chad is the one of us who did not like it as much the first time around. So it's kind of interesting to see that, like, on a rewatch, you kind of started liking it a bit more than you did. So let's get into the spoiler talk, because now we can actually get into details about why we love it, some things we didn't like, the different themes, things like that. So you guys want to start just anywhere, or should we start at the beginning? It's up to you guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would say just at the beginning. I can't really think of a better place to start than that.
I do love the opening of this film, where you think that the whole movie is going to be in 4:3 ratio, but then it comes out and you realize it's the barn doors that are making it 4:3 ratio, and then it comes out and it's in full screen. I love when he does that little camera tricks like that, like it's coming from the barn, and then you open it up into more of a full screen effect.
Yeah, he does a lot of things like that, I feel like, especially when it goes from the movie they're making within X and just the world of the X movie instead of the Farmer's Daughters movie. It's just cool to see how he cuts it, and just like there's like sometimes they'll do the dual screen with the two things going on, and different things will be happening in here versus the editing over here, and it's just really interesting editing and stuff there.
Yeah, the editing is very interesting on this film, because as Chad pointed out as we were watching it, there I think four places in the movie where there's kind of like a scene going on and it cuts to the next scene, but then it'll have like a few flashes.
It'll jump back and forth.
And it's just like flash.
You've noticed it, Hunter.
Yeah, I did.
Sophia.
I also love the homage to the original Texas Chainsaw, where they're all in the car, and you have that one long take that shows everybody from the front seat. We have Maxxine and you have Wayne in the front seat, and then everybody else in the back, and it's this shot that's like from the dashboard almost, and you see the entire cast in the car, almost like it was in the original Texas Chainsaw. I like little camera nods like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The filmmaking's great. But the first scene is kind of like a Sunset Boulevard type of opening, where it shows you the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Or what happens, kind of, but it doesn't show you how it happens. It just shows you like a bunch of carnage, and then it's like, and a detective like, well, I don't know what the hell happened here. What the hell is going on? And then, and then at the end, you're there again, and it ends with that really fun line.
So one fucked up horror picture.
Yeah.
That to me, that's such a great ending. I love that so much, and the delivery of that line is so perfect.
The one detective's like, he's like, what do you think happened here? How the fuck should I know?
I love that.
So good. One of my favorite characters in this movie is Bobby Lynn, played by Brittany Snow. She's got some of the most quotable lines. Like, we're kind of jumping around, but they're getting gas, and they're trying to shoot this because the editor, his name is, give me 1 second.
RJ,
that's right. He's trying to film this scene for the movie, and Bobby Lynn just goes, if you tilt down, it looked like he's pouring gas with his penis.
Which is funny because it's stupid, and it
exactly.
why would that be a thing?
I love her character in this because she's so charismatic, and she's just like, she's so unapologetically her. Like, she's just, her character is like so authentic to herself. Like, she knows what she wants. She's doing what she wants to get what she wants in the future.
Yeah.
And like, she also can be very can be really nice to Jenna Ortega's character. She's really nice to Pearl up until Pearl gives her shit, and then she is like, okay,
she's like okay.
I think that's my favorite scene with her is her death scene.
Yeah.
Not the fact that she dies. That's really sad. But
it's how it was done.
I like how she was so kind. And then, as soon as, she called her like a whore or whatever, she was like, okay.
Okay.
You know what, bitch?
I love the fact that, like, she starts to say, all right, bitch, and Pearl pushes her and she goes, bitch. And the crocodile, the alligator eats her.
It just comes out of nowhere, but that's going to happen.
I also... usually in a slasher film, usually there's two separate genres, right? There's like a slasher film and like an animal exploitation film. Yeah. And this is a slasher film for sure, but we get one random shark or
crocodile, alligator.
It would be an alligator. One random alligator murder.
Well, I mean, I think that makes it interesting too, because Pearl and Howard, they have so many different weapons at their arsenal, and the alligator happens to be one of them.
Yeah, and the alligator's their cleanup.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I like the scene where they show you the alligator first, and they make you afraid.
That's such an intense scene too, because Maxxxine is in the water relaxing. All of a sudden, it goes to this overview shot, and you see the alligator or crocodile.
It would be an alligator because I think crocodiles are in Australia.
It's really cool the shot too, because you see her swimming just like laying there, and then you see a shot of the alligator, and then you see her swimming away, and then suddenly, like, from the edge of the frame comes in the alligator, and you're like, oh shit.
And this is perfectly done.
I'm sorry, Hunter. She gets to the dock, and she just kind of like sits there, and you're like, no. She doesn't know.
Yeah.
The great thing is it's cut in between Wayne shooting the porn and her in the water. So you hear her go, hear Wayne go, and action as she is getting out of the water. So it sounded like she's like, all right, get out of the water. And Wayne is saying, action at the exact same time that she's getting out of the water. So it's perfectly in sync with the scene.
Yeah.
There's like another really cool part with Maxxxine that I really like, that like kind of like a jump cut between something that they're filming and then reality that's terrifying. Is that it showed like her first scene that she's doing, where she's like one of the farmer's daughters with the milk pail. And
in the barn.
and she's like, like being real sexy. She's like, I can drive you if you want, kind of a deal. I'm gonna wake my daddy, and then it cuts straight to like a creepy ass doll in Pearl's room, and I was like, oh shit, okay, because that was like a jump cut, like out of nowhere, that like just creeped me out.
The one, Bobby Lynn has another line that I love, and it's just because she knows what she wants, and she's just so blunt with saying it, where she's like, everyone is like, oh, what's your American dream? She goes, I want to get a pool in somewhere sunny so I can lay back and tan these titties. She's just so she's so positive about what she does, and it's great to see a horror movie not demonize sex. Like this movie is actually sex positive, and it's kind of this whole idea, which the theme is like, age and what you can do and what you can't do in certain, at certain ages, and kind of the whole idea of like, as the Demi podcast says, the most terrifying thing is that you get old and you can't do what you love anymore. Like you're just kind of stuck there. You can't do anything with your age.
Yeah, it's about that. It's about kind of like, free will and like jealousy, because you have like, Pearl's jealousy of like everyone who's younger than her.
Yep.
And of course, she can't turn back time, and she kind of like lost what she wanted for her life. And you see Maxxine is actually kind of struggling with that as well, where she's like, what if I don't get what I want? Like I won't accept a life that I don't deserve.
Which is such a great line.
Yeah, and basically saying she doesn't deserve anything lesser than what she wants, and she's going to do whatever to get it. But also like the jealousy of, sorry, what is his name? Glasses.
Oh, RJ.
RJ.
Okay, I thought that was Kid Cudi's name. What is his name?
Jackson.
Jackson.
Okay, so RJ's jealousy of when his girlfriend, what's Jenna Ortega's name?
Lorraine.
Wait. Okay, I'm so confused with names. I get so
it's a little confusing because I would say Lorraine, like I don't see Jenna Ortega as a Lorraine.
I thought Brittany Snow was Lorraine this whole time.
She's Bobby Lynn.
Okay.
Yes, and also they don't say Jenna Ortega's name as much because the crew calls her Church Mouse.
Yeah.
So most of the movie you just know as Church Mouse.
Yeah. So I mean, so you have, and then you have the jealousy of RJ with Lorraine when she wants to do porn, and then you have the idea of RJ wanting to make, they're all wanting to make like a porn film and make money from that, and he wants to make a movie. And
the most Ty West character is RJ.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, I want to make a movie, and this can be made into actual good cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's funny because like that's kind of what X is.
I know, I love that.
Cinematic film that has some sex in it.
Yeah. The line that RJ says that's really meta is you can make a good dirty movie, and that's exactly what this is. Sorry. Yeah, but Ty West is pretty much saying there is a way you can take this slasher that has, blood and guts and sex and make it into a good movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we've kind of listed a lot of the themes, like what do we like the most, and do you guys dislike anything from the movie, or you think it's just through and through? That's a part of like film criticism, is like,
yeah, exactly,
find something that you actually don't like.
I kind of want to rewatch it with Pearl, like close to like watch Pearl first and then X, because from what I remember from Pearl, I don't know, it's just like hard for me to visualize. And I guess it's
that character becoming that character.
Yeah, exactly. Not always, in some aspects, not at all. Like her, want to, like you can tell Pearl has this like burning desire to have been someone and to have been loved and desired. And that is in the Pearl movie that comes through really well as well. I don't know. I guess maybe like it just seems like maybe because it's in Pearl, we only see Pearl doing, I guess Howard kind of cleans up when he comes home. I don't know. I just have to think on it.
It is a little weird too that like you get where Pearl ends and then you get Pearl is just really super old.
Right. It just like jumps.
You don't get any of the in between to see if she made any other attempts to become famous or anything like that.
But I think that's why this does where the sequence works really well.
Well, also in the movie they do have a scene. Sorry, in X there is a scene where Maxxine is walking through Pearl's house, and you see on the wall that like she married Howard, that she was a part of this dancing, thing. So that tells me that in Pearl, the audition she went for, she got it, and she went on tour because you get to see the pictures of her with all of her dance mates in that one scene. So that kind of tells me that the end of Pearl is where she's doing the audition. She gets the audition, and then we cut time into X where they show the picture of her with her dance troupe and things like that.
Okay, because she does say that she like danced or whatever before.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't remember if that was like a part of just like her one audition that she did or what. But I guess maybe she like had some jobs but never like made it big. And never got what she wanted because I guess if she would have got what she wanted, she wouldn't feel the need to murder anyone anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. There is one scene that I'm not going to say I dislike, that just kind of is weird to me. And it's the scene where Maxxine wakes up with Pearl like touching her and then she freaks out, and you have that kind of, it's a really good chase scene, but it kind of feels awkward in the kind of structure of the film. That's the only nitpick I can think of, though. I do really enjoy this movie.
I'm trying to think about it because I don't think I feel like that was awkward. I feel like a lot of the scares and like the screams are really good. Like
Jenna Ortega's scream is amazing.
Her scream is fantastic, but also I think Mia Goth's scream in the bed is incredible.
Yeah.
It's like,
dude, the fact that she was able to, like, because Mia Goth plays both Maxxine and Pearl, and the fact that they had the scene with them in the kitchen area with the lemonade is so fucking impressive, because that's somebody else underneath the makeup. So the fact that they are like kind of mirroring like a young Pearl, or saying that Pearl is a younger version of Maxxine, and you have that all in this one kitchen scene that's also connected to Bobby Lynn and Jackson doing the porn opening with the lemonade. It's the same thing. It's really fucking awesome.
Yeah,
how they did that is really cool. I think the only thing that I don't know, part of me just feels like the makeup is almost like too extra, and I feel like sometimes they don't really look like real people.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so I was like, is that just me, or do some people really look like that sometimes?
I mean, I do think sometimes people do really look like that sometimes. And
plastic surgery is a bitch.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to
but it is like, it's a lot. I guess you're supposed to think though that I almost feel like they
really let themselves go.
Well, I feel like they almost want you to like feel this kind of like, it's, I don't know if this was what I don't want to be like ageist or anything, but I feel like almost like Ty West wants you to feel a little bit like shocked and like, I don't know, like grossed out maybe a little bit. Like, especially because they kind of lean into
Right.
it in the lovemaking scenes, particularly, and like
Yeah.
Howard is also like kind of over the top, like he like with the teeth and stuff, and everything. So I don't know if that was like he wanted to really drive in the point about how we, especially I feel like younger people tend to view older people, and like maybe in our minds that's like in our mind it's like as bad as they look.
Yeah. And I also heard this from the Demi podcast, because I watched the podcast today on the X episode, and they were like, I think the whole point of that Howard and Pearl sex scene is not to make the audience grossed out. I think it's supposed to be like they love each other, and the whole idea is that Howard can't have sex with her because his heart could give out, but they don't care. And she even has that beautiful scene where she's like, do you think I'm still beautiful? He goes, every day.
Yeah.
I think it's a great dichotomy of like, well, why are audiences freaked out and disgusted by these two old people having sex, but they're not upset when you see Jackson and Bobby Lynn in the porn having sex? It's because it's the idea of, the ages and things like that.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Hunt. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no, if you have something to say, go ahead.
I feel like that's a good point, because like the younger people, any sex scene that's shown in this film with the younger people, they are doing it for money. They're not showing a scene between RJ and Lorraine. They're not even really showing scenes between Wayne and Maxxine. They're showing the scenes that they filmed for the porn film. But the only loving sex scene between two people who love each other, like genuinely, is between Pearl and Howard.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's what I got out of it too. Was not, this is supposed to be really gross. Like I could see people, especially when we were at the theater watching like Bodies, and like Talk to Me, and you have like certain parts where people will just laugh at things, but not like, try to look at like any deeper meanings. They'll just laugh at like, what the hell, two old people have sex, kind of a deal. So I could see it from that side for, maybe a certain audience member. But then, how I got out of it was like, one, this is scary because they're psychopaths or sociopaths. And Maxxine is trapped under the bed. So this is scary. But also, I did get a little bit of like sentimentality between them, where you're like, in their own weird way, these two people have like let themselves go like so hard, or just got really old, and I don't know. They still love each other and they want to show that, but they just like couldn't find a way to communicate it with each other, I guess, or whatever. And then finally they decide to. And I do think in a way it's kind of beautiful, but it would be way more beautiful if like
they weren't sociopaths.
Yes. Murderers. Yeah, exactly.
That's the great thing about X, and that's the one thing that I guess like immediately kind of hooked with me for this movie, is the fact that like, yes, Pearl and Howard, they are the killers in this movie, but in a way you also feel so bad for them, because the scene which is my favorite scene in the entire movie, Brittany Snow is singing Landslide, and it goes from her and it slides over to Pearl ripping the makeup off after she got so, dressed up for Howard, and he turned her down because of his heart conditions. And you kind of see the pain in Pearl's eyes of like, well, he's doing this. I know he has heart condition, but also feels like, I'm not beautiful to him anymore, or I'm too old for this. He doesn't see me as, sexually pleasing anymore. So all these kind of questions that Pearl is having with the back of Landslide, is really, it's really beautiful. It's also like, you kind of feel bad for these killers in a way, but then it turns it on its head because you're not supposed to feel bad for the killers at the end of the movie. So it's kind of this kind of dichotomy in your brain. That's a really, really interesting way to take this horror movie.
Yeah. I do really also like the use, like I said, I like the use of music in general, but I like the landslide bit
So
too,
good.
because it's a song. What's a song about, like, for like by Fleetwood Mac, that's about that was like a group of people that were all kind of like, you know, having sex with each other and just like, you know, having kind of like loose relationships and stuff like that in a way. Wasn't that what Fleetwood Mac had going on a little bit?
There were two different couples in the band, and both couples broke up during the lifetime of the band.
So there, well, okay, so maybe I'm like playing it like a little but what I'm saying is like they had like some relationship issues, and I think there was like infidelity in there and stuff like that. And that's what like Rumors was about, which is where Landslide is. And so I like that behind the scenes Landslide, you know, plays into the movie that way, but it's also about aging and everything like that as well. So
yeah, that was I think that whole scene, that whole sequence is incredible. I know Chad said, and you can say if I'm misquoting this, I'm pretty sure you said that Lorraine's decision at first pissed you off.
yes.
And I kind of get that, but I also saw it in another way. So go ahead and explain your side, and then we'll go into that conversation.
Well, I mean, this is another thing that's like, this is another thing that has like, I've like thought a little more about just with this rewatch. So it's one of those things where I'm sitting there trying to think about like, just like their whole conversation about love versus sex versus, you know, how, because she asked the question, how can you love someone and then have sex with other people? And, you know, I mean, honestly, I don't think there's a right answer. I think it just depends on the people and then who wants what kind of a deal. And if somebody wants like an open type of relationship, you can do that. Or if some people like are actors and they're like, you know, we're not even just talking about sex, but like if you are an actor and you're in a movie and you're going to kiss people or just be intimate with someone in a movie, that's okay because you're just acting.
Yeah.
And then Lorraine takes that and she goes, well, because they're all talking about, you know, being young and like, you know, doing it while you're young and just kind of like experimenting and things like that. And then she's just like, I want to do it and nothing can stop me because, you know, I have my own choices I can make, kind of deal. The only problem that I have with it is that she's in a relationship and her boyfriend obviously has an issue with it. I think the problem with that is that he didn't have an issue with other people doing it. It was only until his girlfriend, you know, wanted to do it. But then again, they are in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I find it a little weird that she wants to go do this thing. She doesn't talk to him about this at all until it's in front of a bunch of other people. And then he feels really weird and kind of pressured in this situation. And he's like, I don't want you to do that. That's not like that's not the type of relationship I want to be in. And then even after she does it, he's obviously crying in the shower, really upset about this. And then she comes out and she's like, I need to find RJ because I don't want him to be mad at me. You know,
that's the scene I'm like, yeah, you're done. You're broken up with. Like,
yeah, that's that. And but she says she doesn't want to break up with him.
Yeah.
Still wants to. And then I'm just like, you kind of blindsided this guy, decided to go make a porno, and then you want him to be okay with it, and then he's the first one to die.
To be fair, and not that it's on the same level, but he brought her out on this shoot and didn't even tell her that they were making a
That was
porn.
a
Oh,
porno.
was that the case?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
She thought she was going to be the on just a regular movie that they were doing.
Okay.
RJ didn't tell her it was a porno until they got to the house, and then she was blindsided by that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I still think making one is different than cheating on your boyfriend and making him watch it.
Yeah.
I have a big problem with it, and I understand, like, people can do whatever they want with their own bodies. It's not like they were married, all this type of stuff. But she didn't even have a conversation with him first to say, look, this is something I actually want to pursue now that I know this is a lucrative business. The things people were talking about actually made a lot of sense to me. It looks like a lot of fun. I really want to try this. And if you're not okay with it, then I think we just need to break up. She never had any sort of conversation. I think
that's very deep for this type of movie, and I think it's
maybe it's just not that deep of a movie.
Yeah, well, and I think it's also like not to say that this movie isn't deep in other aspects, but like that's not the point of this movie. The point of this movie, the themes are more about like you said, like choices with our bodies, about aging, about sexuality. And then I think it's kind of clear that it is kind of a spur of the moment decision for her.
It's a character choice for sure. And I think it just like makes me like her character less. And then when she comes out and she like wants to find him and make up with him, it makes me like her character a little more. And then the fact that she just totally gets like thrown in the cellar, and her face blown off, it makes me feel bad, but then, I'm also just kind of like, well, hey, at least she didn't get her way either. So I don't know. I don't like that character.
Can I have an alternate perspective? Because I totally get what you're saying about like the, character decision does seem off, but also because I've watched this movie like 3 or 4 times already. Each time I watch it, I notice that one, RJ didn't tell her that they were shooting a porno, which doesn't excuse what she did. But 2, throughout the movie, when she's like, I don't feel comfortable watching these sex scenes, there are moments where he goes, why are you being such a prude?
That's true. That's a good point.
So he's like downplaying her feeling uncomfortable watching these people have sex. So it's kind of like he doesn't care about her feelings in a way where it's like, oh, just stop being a prude. Like, we're here to do a job. He's also a character who doesn't see this porno as a porno. He sees it as a movie. So to her, it could be like, oh, I'm just making a movie.
I'm just being an actress, bro.
I'm just being an actress. Like you wanted actors, so I'm being an actor. But also, I get that they could have had a conversation, but the conversation should have been from him being like, no, I don't want you doing this because you're my girlfriend and I love you. The immediate thing he went to was, well, no, because it's my movie and my script, and it doesn't work with the.
That's a good point, Hunter.
With the filmmaking.
It's also fun, and I didn't really think about it until I saw it in the trailer. I saw that line where he was like, you can't just change like the script halfway, or change it halfway through the movie, like change how the movie is.
Who are you, the Weinsteins?
But that's how this movie is. It starts out, almost halfway through the movie. Nothing overtly. There's definitely horror elements to it in the first half. Like there's the scene with the crocodile. There's like hints about what's going to come. But the first half of the movie, and until he says that statement and things start to kick off after it turns dark, and he's the first one to be murdered. It starts out. It's until that point. It's just a regular
slasher.
It's not even a slasher. It's a movie about kids going to, or not kids. They're not kids. Young adults going to make a porno.
Make cinema.
Now, so the whole idea of him not even caring that to him, it wasn't even about her doing the porn. It was her changing up his scripts. Shows that he doesn't really care about her as a. It wasn't that he was upset that she did a porno. It was more upset that he didn't get to do his vision.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, Hunter, and that actually makes me think about it a little bit differently. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point. I think the interesting thing is that no matter like what any of these like morals are, or like, you know, character decisions, whether you think one character's smart, one character's good, one character's bad, pretty much they all die except for Maxxine.
And it sucks because I actually love this whole band of characters.
Yeah.
I start to root for pretty much all of them. Like when Jackson, like, you know, he's like, let me put on my pants. I'll come help you.
He's just standing in the dark with his dick just hanging out.
And I'm just like, you know, let me put on my pants. I'll come help you. And then like he's, you know,
once a soldier, always a soldier. He says,
yeah, Marine, always a Marine. And he's like sitting there like so nice. Like when he sees that, he calls him Pops.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, Pops, are you okay? Kind of a deal. Like when he thought he like drowned or something. He's just like, he's just helping some senior citizens.
Yeah.
In his mind. And I'm just like, shit, man, they just get shot just out of nowhere. And
dude, Kid Cudi is so good in this movie. He's surprisingly really good.
Yeah. And I really do kind of feel for a lot for the characters, and I think that kind of deepened it the second time a little more, where I was like, well, these are actually kind of characters, and it's not just, you know, underwritten characters and a random slasher. And the cool thing that when I mentioned that Maxxine was the one that survived, the final girl, I like it. It's because, you know, she's so similar to Pearl that she makes it all out. Like everyone else is, you know, but like Pearl likes her because she sees herself in her. So Maxxine has the drive to actually make it out, where the others, I guess, don't. That's fun.
And the cool thing about this movie is, as Chad said, none of these characters feel unwritten. Like, these are not characters where in normal slasher movies you either don't care, the main characters are assholes, or you just want to see them die. In this movie, you don't want to see these characters die because you do like them, and each of them have a moment with with Howard and Pearl where they're trying to help them, where it's like, oh, let me help you with this. Oh, do you need me to do this? Do you need me to do this? Because you're letting me stay here. That when they turn that on their head and they start killing them off, it feels like a gut punch, because you're like, oh, I'm supposed to trust these guys, and now I don't.
That is true, Hunter. They all die because they're like literally helping them. That's why I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I it's kind of weird because I like Maxxine's character a lot, and it's like she kind of feels very innocent in a way, and it's like when she kills Pearl, I almost was like, it's kind of a cool moment because you're like, Pearl shouldn't be alive. She's just killing everyone, kind of a deal. But I was almost like, I don't want Maxxine to kill anyone, because I think that she's such a good character, and I think her actually killing Pearl, I don't know. And now I'm interested to see if like what happens
to Maxxine.
What happens to her character later, to see if like she probably doesn't regret that decision. But I don't know. It's one of those things where like Pearl was going to be done, you know, like she wasn't like injured.
She was hurt.
She was hurt. Dead. Yeah. But she was hurt, and like an old person hurt like that isn't going to be able to recover that easily. And so like the cops were bound to get there at some point, like they did, and arrest her or something, you know?
Yeah. I do love how in the end scene where Howard has a heart attack and Maxxxine is holding the gun. She goes, Pearl goes, he's having a heart attack. I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Just that whole dialogue is hilarious.
It is really interesting too how like you had said, Hunter, they're all trying to help, like all the younger characters are trying to help Howard and Pearl, and then they die. But then when Howard and Pearl actually need help, right? Like Howard has Maxxxine obviously does not care because they just murdered all her friends.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like crazy how Pearl like asked for help. Like she's like so like disassociated that she's asking the person whose friend she just killed for help. And same thing when she, the shotgun blows back. She's literally she shot Maxxxine. She's trying to shoot Maxxxine and got shot back. And she's like, help my hip, and like expects Maxxxine to help her.
She expects help.
That's a really good point too, actually. I didn't even think about that when they need help the most.
I feel like there's a larger metaphor there about aging and about young people versus old people, and I'm just like not getting it fully, but like you do things to harm the older generation, like younger people do things to harm the older generation. The older generation does things to harm the younger generation.
I thought you were saying something else, and I was like, you're not saying that, and then you clarified. I was like, because I thought you were saying like younger people will help, but older people just want to hurt.
No.
I was like, what the are you talking?
No, it's a generational thing, which I kind of agree.
That makes sense, actually. I think in some way.
I also love how in there's dialogue scenes in here that predict each of their murders.
Oh,
so like Wayne says after the first porno shot with Jackson and Lorraine or Bobby Lynn, he goes, he goes, man, the audience's eyes are gonna pop out of their skulls when they see this, and then he's the one who gets his eyes popped out. You have the one where it's what is it? I'm trying to think of the other ones. But you have like that's the most like overt one. And then you have like each of their deaths correlate with something different that they say in the movie.
Does Kid Cudi ever say, man, when the audience sees this, they're gonna get a shotgun blast to the chest?
Oh no. He does say something because Howard comes up to him and he goes, I've had more people sitting there. I've had old people sit with my shock. If I could speak, this would be great. Hold on. I'm looking up this line real quick. Go ahead and talk for a minute.
Yeah. Some of the other things that I really like, because I mentioned that the movie made me laugh quite a bit the second time. It's just like certain. So I don't know if they're actually funny or if I was in a silly mood, but like it was like one of the moments was after Pearl killed Wayne with the pitchfork thing. She like came over to his body and she like stabbed him again with it, but then she just started to like put hay over his body, and I was like, good job, Pearl, you really covered that up. that was something that I thought was kind of funny.
Then he gets like hung up in the basement, I guess.
Was that Wayne or RJ? No, it wasn't RJ because she sees him dead later. Maybe that was Wayne. And then God, there were some other really funny parts. Oh man, I'm blanking on them. They'll come to me at some point, probably.
Yeah, I would say most of the dialogue with Brittany Snow and with Kid Cudi, a lot of those parts are really funny.
Yeah. God, I wish I could think about the ones that like really.
I like the scene at the end where Maxxine is telling Lorraine to be quiet, and Lorraine's like, "I'm locked in a cellar. I'm not gonna be quiet." Then she gets herself killed. But.
Yeah. She makes the terrible decision of like, I hate all of you, and then runs away. I think
not that she doesn't really. I mean, someone killed like Pearl and Howard would kill her, but
yeah, well, she makes a bad decision and not stick together.
Yeah.
But if there's if you're in a horror movie and one of the girls is a final one, stick with that one. Simple. I don't think Hunter's gonna find it, but he's damn it if he's not determined.
I was looking for it, but there was a quote where it was something about I've had enough shotguns pointed at my face before, talking about his time in the war, and then he got killed with the shotgun.
Oh wow, yeah.
I think I do remember that line. That's a good point, Hunter.
It just took me a minute. I can't find it, but I kind of remembered them putting that together.
Yeah, and it's just interesting how like this is kind of like you guys were talking about, like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque 1970s gritty new age kind of slasher. Like, when everything else doesn't work, why not go back in time and make a new 1970s
it's still
movie.
A very original concept.
Yeah.
Which is a lot more than we can say about a lot of other movies.
I guess we can't necessarily blame
Ty West?
No. Halloween.
John Carpenter?
David Gordon Green?
Gordon Green. I guess we can't necessarily blame him because Fear Street worked as a trilogy. This one is working as a trilogy. So now people are like,
true,
the new age of the horror trilogy.
Yeah.
And we're just going to come out with it. We're making a trilogy right now.
The only difference I would say is that when it comes to like X and Pearl,
it's original.
Yeah, it's an original film, but also Ty West didn't plan to make Pearl into a movie until the whole idea was that he was coming up with a backstory for Pearl with Mia Goth, and they were like, "Oh, well, this is a good enough story that we can turn it into a prequel."
Yeah,
it wasn't planned at the beginning. They just had this one movie.
It was basically a Better Call Saul. They were like, "Hey, you know what?"
Another one that foreshadows their death. Wayne saying that when Lorraine says, "Oh, he doesn't know that we're doing this," she goes, "Oh, you don't want to give the old guy a heart attack, do you?" And then he has a heart attack at the end of the film.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. It's so interesting. That's why I love these discussions, is because we end up always coming up with some. I never think that we're gonna come up with something like nuanced to me. When I watch a movie, like I'll be like, I have a pretty good grasp of this movie, and then you guys will have a perspective that I'll go, oh my god, okay, and then I'll watch the movie differently another time.
Yep.
So maybe I'll really, really like this one the next time I watch it.
I hope so. But
right now, I just like it.
Yeah, I also wonder, because there's a scene in Pearl, which we will talk about Pearl next week. There's a scene in Pearl where the guy that she's bringing home gets his car dumped in the river. And then there's a car in the river in this scene, in this movie. I wonder if that's the same scene or if that's the guy that's chained up, if that's his car. So I don't know which one it is.
Because I thought that might have been a different guy. Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't think I don't think either of them could lift Wayne.
Oh, so it's a completely different guy.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too. Because how would they get Wayne in there and not let Lorraine out? It's like a whole because they never knocked her out. She was just down there.
She was down there already.
Yeah. So
I'm not
thought
sure
it
if it's
was
Huh.
if it's the same car from that guy from Pearl, which if it is, that's a great attention to detail, or if it's the guy that they found chained up already when that iconic scream from Jenna Ortega, if that's his car.
I
But
think
if it is the same car from Pearl, that's a great little Easter egg.
Yeah.
we can fact check that when we watch Pearl again and do the Pearl thing. Is there anything else? I mean, because we're at an hour, so I'm just trying to wonder, like, if there's
the ending of the movie talking about Pearl and another theme, the religion aspect of her coming from a religious background.
That's actually something I don't think I caught on or noticed the first time I watched it. I don't know if I was tired
really?
or what, but yeah, no, you didn't hear me when I just saw that. I was
did
like,
hear
what?
you, and I was
Oh,
I know that.
I didn't realize, because that we've been hearing or seeing clips from like the 500 Club or what.
No wonder you didn't like it as much the first time.
There's
I feel like that's a very important, like, that's just so cool.
I think I don't think it was just not knowing that. I think it was a lot of the, my issues
the
with
decisions.
Like, the decision. Yeah, mostly was the thing that really like made me. But that was an issue with like the character, not necessarily the movie as a whole, but I think it factored in. But yeah, knowing that now I think is a really cool touch. That like, now we know that Maxxxine like left her hyper religious family,
and she is getting into something that they're condemning it. So the whole idea of like religion versus sex, religion versus porn, but you also get the scene where Lorraine is doing the porn for the first time, and she takes off the gold necklace that has the cross on it, the crucifix on it. So a lot of religious symbolism as well in this film.
Yeah.
Which is interesting how that plays in. I don't know if it was like necessary, but I guess it's like kind of a cool touch.
Yeah.
Love the idea that Lorraine was so unprepared for this that she still has those underwear with the days of the week on the back of them.
What day was it?
Sunday, I think. Which again, Sunday, religious.
Trivia.
There you go.
What day of the week was written on Lorraine's underwear? Sunday.
Dude, I really love this movie, and I wonder now that we've talked about it, I'm gonna go back and rewatch it again and just love it even more.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely have more of an appreciation for it now, which I was surprised and happy about because I was like, I always knew it, especially like watching Pearl and liking Pearl. I was like, bet if I go back and watch X, I'd probably like it more. There's so many movies that sometimes I'll just kind of like decide like, I'm just not gonna like that one, and then I'll just kind of like be in that mind state, and then sometimes I'll just like be like, I know if I watch it again, I'll probably like it more, but then sometimes I do, and sometimes I like them more, and then sometimes I'll watch a movie that like that, and I'll like it even less or the same. Or
Spring 2022.
That one is interesting because I liked it the first time, and it just went down, and it's kind of like in this like middle
in the middle ground. Yep.
Yeah, and now that like Wes Craven's not coming back, unfortunately, rest in peace. But now that like the creative team is kind of disbanded for those two, they didn't get to make the third one. I kind of feel like now, like, I don't know.
What? Oh, yeah.
Like,
well, I think Kevin Williamson will do a good job.
No, I do too.
Oh yeah.
What I'm saying is like I don't feel the need to feel like I have to jump on the hype train of the radio silence screams, where I can like them fine enough, but still think that they're no Wes Craven screams. Yeah, sorry, Hunter
Yeah.
brought it up, and I was just
Hunter.
responding.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
So yeah.
Sorry.
We should
No.
probably wrap it up if we don't have anything else to discuss, I guess, right?
I can't think of anything else. Can you guys think of anything else you want to bring up?
It's fun. It's funny. It's scary. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different scary stuff. Kerri caught me muting a couple times.
Oh yeah, I looked up and I was like, "Why
Is the sound?
I thought
on?
you paused, and I was like, "Oh, why did Chad pause the movie?" I'm like, "No, you did that."
So, and you brought up the score at the beginning. I really like that. I really like the sounds in the movie, but like a couple times I had to mute it because I was like, I think there's a jump scare here. I'm just not in the mood.
I understand.
I was like,
That's fair.
because there's the moment when Wayne's looking through the thing, and I know that,
And it's the sound. It's the.
I knew that it was, yeah. So the key to defeating a jump scare is
Just have no sound.
Yeah, well, you have the sound, you have the audio, and you have the visual. If you cut off one of them, it's less impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I mute it and I just see it happen, I mean, it might still make me go, oh, okay, but it won't be as terrifying.
There you go. Jump scare tips.
That's why I like the slow burn movies and stuff like that, because I'm like, less jump scares or no jump.
Fair. So next week we are going to be talking about the prequel Pearl. I can't wait to get in that one again. Chad and Kerri, where can people find you online?
Same places. Check out Chadwick Webb. We rank stuff. You Ranking with Me is a great show. A lot of great rankings over there. Horror rankings and stuff. So check that out, please. And then also check out the Dill Pickle Movie Network. My buddy Dylan, he just did a big subathon and got a lot of new subscribers, and a lot of things are happening around there. The dude knows how to make shows, and he does a great job at talking movies and reality TV and just everything that he does.
MCU trivia.
MCU trivia. Yeah, if you like the MCU, check out that trivia league. It's really, really fun over there. And then check out Picture This. Is the show that we do where we talk all Best Picture nominees and everything, and just really do deep dives into those films. And it's a lot of fun. Kerri's been on there a couple times. And that's about it. Check out all of our letterboxes. Actually, Hunter needs to get a letterbox.
I need to get a letterbox.
And then check that out when he makes it. And thank you for watching.
Yeah, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, please hit the like button, subscribe. Welcome to Primetime down below. And remember, stay scared.